Hello, this is chapter 2 of mappings and addresses. So, let's make our game multiplayer by giving the zombies in our database an owner. We will need two new data types, mapping and address. So, address, it's made up of accounts which you can think of like a bank account. And then an account has a balance of Ether, the currency used on Ethereum blockchain, and you can send and receive Ether payments to the other accounts just like your bank account can wire transfer money to other bank accounts. Each account has an address, okay, which you can think of like a bank account number. Yep. It's unique. It's a unique identifier that points to that account, and it looks like this. Okay, so this seems to be like a Crypto Zombies address. If you're enjoying Crypto Zombies, you can send them some Ether. So I've read that if you lost this, I think you can recover using your mnemonic words, the one that you should keep on a hard paper or somewhere safe, so that you could restore it. But once you lost your mnemonic, I think the money in there will be lost forever. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of addresses in a later lesson, but for now, we only need to understand that an address is owned by a specific user or a smart contract. So we can use a unique ID for ownership of our zombies. When a user creates new zombies, by interacting with our app, we'll set ownership of those zombies to the Ethereum address that called that function. Okay? Mappings. In lesson 1, we look at structs and arrays. And mappings are another way of storing organized data in Solidity. So defining a mapping looks like this. So for financial app, storing a uint that holds the user's account balance. So a mapping, and then this syntax is like a key value pair. So the key here is an address, and then that address holds a uint, and it's public, visible, and the variable name is account balance. So again, storing a uint that holds the user's account balance. Okay, so it's an address with a uint. So, or could be used to store or look up usernames based on user ID. So you have a key of uint, and then we are going to return a string, which is that user ID to name. So a username would be returned. So it's a string. So a mapping is essentially a key value. So a key value store for storing and looking up data. Okay, so for storing and looking up. Okay, so in the first example, this one, the key is an address. Okay, the key is an address, and the value is a uint. So we are expecting a uint. And in the second example, the key is a uint. So we will pass in a uint, and then it should return a value of string, which is again a username. So again, on the first example, the key is address, and then we are expecting a return value of a uint, and that uint is the account balance. So maybe like 1,000, 1,200 number, right? And then on the second example, we are expecting a key of uint. It's an address, No. It's a uint, and then we will return a username. Okay, it's based on the user ID, and then we will get a username. Okay. Alright. So let's put it to the test. To store a zombie ownership, we're going to use two mappings. One that keeps track of the address that owns a zombie, and another that keeps track of how many zombies an owner has. So number one, create a mapping called zombie to owner. Okay, declare a mapping here. So we will put our mappings here. So I'm just trying to get a hang of the positioning of on how to declare things, like first the contract first, and then later on the event, and then some globally declared variables, and then the struct, and then some collections, and then the mapping, and then some functions. So maybe this is some kind of standard, and I think I'm not sure yet if there's a factor on things, declaring things or moving things up and down. Okay, so declare the mappings here. So let's have a mapping, and then it says a mapping called zombie to owner. So zombie to owner. The key will be, so we will have a key of uint. We'll store, the key will be a uint. We'll store and look up the zombie based on its ID, and the value an address is an address. Okay, let's make this mapping public. So let's make it public, and then end it with a semicolon. So I merely just really pattern it here, and then just follow the instruction that the key here would be a uint, and then the value would be an address. And so the map is a zombie to owner. Okay, and then the second would be create a mapping called owner zombie count. So let's create a mapping, and then owner zombie count. Okay, where the key is an address, and then the value is a uint. Okay, that makes sense because just by figuring out this variable name, we have the owner zombie, which is an address, and then we are interested on the count, so it's a uint. While on the first example, we have zombie to owner, so we have a uint. I think this is like the ID, the zombie ID, and then to owner, which is the address. Okay, let's see. So it's correct. Let's see the answer. I wish they could have an option here to close this, just to revisit or review the solution, right?